Handcrafts reflect the people, their work, their recreations, the line and color of their way of life. Under the direction of Mary Black of the Handcrafts and Home Industries Department of Nova Scotia, craftsmen of this province interpret what they see about them through their crafts. A pattern that is part of Canada is hooked into rugs from native wools, molded into pottery from native clays, and carved from native woods. Mrs. Fox, a skilled artist, shows how designs may be interpreted. A Nova Scotian knows the lines of waterbird that suggest a pattern for a rug. He knows the curl of shells, turned by repetition into a design in wool. Look out the window. There's the pattern of dykeland seen from Blomidon. Rows of plowed red fields trimmed with green. Designs are everywhere, subjects for a hooked wool rug, a painting, or a song.
Ye banks and breeze and streams are mother castle of Montgomery. Green be your fields and fair your flowers. May your waters never run dry. There's summer frost, some foods for road, and a very longest tarry. 'Twas there I took my last farewell of my own Highland Mary.
Many crafts are very old. Some materials and designs are traditional, handed down from Scot and Acadian ancestors with the spinning wheels themselves. Then spinning was part of the daily work, and often feet grew weary on the treadle. Today, these same crafts may be to some a relaxation, and to others an art. For there is pleasure in creating colorful designs, whether it is cutting out the canvas backing for rugs, or drawing and filling in the design. Each part of the work requires its own special skill. These rug makers of Cheticamp know their basic materials well. They raise the wool for their rugs on their own farms. They dye the yarns themselves to get just the right color. Most of the dyes they use are chemical ones, but some craftsmen like Mrs. Stronach experiment with the vegetable dyes in bark and roots. It takes 4 pounds of yellow birch to dye 1 pound of wool. Yellow birch gives a rich yellow-brown. Its color varies with the season. The bark gathered in the spring gives a light shade. If collected later in the year, it yields a darker tone. The intensity of the color is determined by the chemical bath in which the yarn is soaked before dyeing, and by the length of time the yarn is boiled in the dye kettle. Natural dyes mellow gradually and blend, becoming lovelier with the passage of the years. They retain the soft color of the landscape to which they once belonged. Angora rabbits provide a new material for spinning and weaving. Angora wool is soft and warm. It is spun into yarn for caps and mitts, evening wraps, and blankets. Up in Cape Breton at the Gaelic Foundation Crafts Center, students come in the summer to take a 4-week course in handcrafts. Here they learn how to weave, making fine articles for sale or their own use. When they return home, they will teach others how to work out new designs. Many of these girls, McPhersons, Campbells, Stewarts, and MacDonalds, learn how to weave the traditional tartan patterns of their clans. Once a year, the Highland Maud brings the clansmen to the craft center. Here there's a traditional greeting, 1,000 welcomes to New Scotland. They reenact a milling frolic to the tune of Gaelic songs, rubbing the cloth across rough boards, match the fibers together. The work is measured in song. One after another, dancers try to win a coveted medal as they interpret the traditional sword dance. For this is what the Maud is, a contest of skills in song and dance, a meeting of the clans. As tradition is part of the pattern of Nova Scotia, the sea is part of it too. Nova Scotians have listened to the sea for generations. From her ports, their ships have voyaged to every country in the world. At Lunenburg, the Blue Nose, the fastest fishing schooner ever to sail the Atlantic, was built.
Is of a fair young creature lived down by the seaside, so fair and sweet our damsel was called the village bride.
The day of sailing ships is past. But from Nova Scotian ports, wooden ships still slide down the ways.
Down by the silvery tide.
First, they are modeled in wood. Miniature ships perfect in line and balance, designed by the skilled fingers of these men who love the sea. But all woodworkers are not ship-minded. Wood is one of the most common media for craftsmen. Throughout the province, many hands fashion it to suit their fancy. There is a kind of wood suitable for almost every need. One craftsman in his home workshop turns out small looms for handcraft teachers and home weavers. These looms are useful for making small articles like scarves and purses, luncheon sets, and bags. They are light and easy enough for a child to handle. A small boy loves to whittle at wood. But it is more fun to learn how to really carve. In school, they learn first how to carve in soap. It is easier. Later, they carve from the wood itself. Under the rough bark of trees, you find interesting knots and whorls, fine grain designs and colors that suggest shapes and patterns. John Bradford uses the natural wood grains to bring out line and color in the small animals he sculpts. A penknife, a block of wood, patience, practice, and some imagination are all that is required to turn out attractive, lifelike little figures. No attempt is made to carve in detail. It is the natural grain and coloring that gives life and movement. His classes have formed themselves into the Atlantic Woodcarvers Guild. For them, wood responds to the sharp edge of the knife. Bits of driftwood, weathered and beaten by the sea, live again in sea animals and water birds. In the shops of metalworkers, again designs are reminiscent of the sea. This blacksmith, still at his craft as his grandfather was, hammers out his designs like anchors into goods for household uses: andirons, knockers, and fire tongs. Household articles are made of clay, too. The craftsman finds his materials all about him. Here is a red clay just right for pottery. The children from the Shubenacadie Indian School dig it out of the roadside. Commercially, this clay is used for making bricks, tiles, and pipes. In the craftsman's shop, a rich slip made from the clay is poured into molds to make all kinds of pottery. Or a lump of the clay, wedged to take out air bubbles, may be shaped on the potter's wheel. It is a good clay for taking the glaze that gives the pottery its finish in the intense heat of the kiln. Some craftsmen use a transparent glaze to allow the natural red color to show through. Others experiment with wood ash in the glaze to reflect the soft purple haze of the hills, the gray sea mist, and the blue-green spruces, so typically Nova Scotian. So in all these skills, the craftsmen of Nova Scotia express themselves. Old skills are revived, but the designs are created in the modern manner by these craftsmen at work.